Hi, I'm back, and tonight I want to build something here in this apartment in San Myshuno, which I like to call the emo apartment because it has kind of like a dark color scheme and everything. But we are going to un-emo-ify it a bit, which is a very strange word I just made up. But we are going to build a new apartment here for this sim that I made, who is an artist, and her space is going to be very colorful, mostly very yellow. And I really don't like figuring out floor plans on camera, so I already prepared a little something here. And while I did that, I actually decided to add one more sim to the household. This is going to be her little brother who's going to live here with her as well. Because as I was making this, I realized there was a little too much space for only one sim. And one thing that I also got are these paintings. I thought since she's an artist, she should totally have her work up on the wall. And so I downloaded a room of the gallery where somebody very kindly provided us with a lot of the paintings that are in the game, perhaps even all of them, I'm not entirely sure. And I picked out the ones that fit my color scheme and hung them up. And well, then I started working on it. As you can see already, it's going to be very colorful. And by the way, I am making this once again for my own custom save file. So I'll be using only the base game and city living for this build as well. And I started with the kitchen because I feel like kitchens are always the most straightforward. And I wanted this place to have like a little bit of an industrial theme to it. So I picked out a wallpaper that's sort of like a brick texture. And as you can see in this clip here, I also placed like these yellow pipes on the wall. I like the idea that maybe she painted those herself as well. And I really like color coding my Sims. So my artist lady obviously has like a yellow theme going on, but also some cyan, which I will also add in the room later on a little bit. But then her brother that I made last minute, I gave more of a red theme to. And in the game there is this item that's like 2 aprons hanging on the wall, and it comes with a perfect swatch. It comes with 1 apron in yellow and 1 apron in red, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to use this. So I did. And in this clip I started making her little painting area right by these cool windows. Speaking of which, we do actually have the ability now. There has been a little update where we can actually edit the windows of these San Myshuno apartments as well as the apartments that are in Evergreen Harbor. We still can't edit the front door, which is a bit sad, especially with this apartment, because I think the front door to this one is so ugly, honestly. Yeah, but what I wanted to say is that I honestly didn't edit the windows that much. I pretty much just went with the original ones. The only thing that I did is I added a couple of extra ones in some places to get some extra light in here because it was a little bit dark in some spots. Here I am building a little desk area in that huge living kitchen art space that I am making, and I tried to have some custom shelving here, where as you can see, I placed this fancy white display case. I actually didn't put anything in it in the end because I reserved the spot for something that's going to be important to the story that's going to be in my save file later. What was that? What did you say? Oh, you just said, Lua admitted you just totally forgot to add something in here, like a little collectible or something. It wasn't going to be important at first, but then you forgot and now you made this whole story up to justify the fact that it's empty. No, there will be something in there, you'll see. I'll think of something. Anyway, focusing back on the build, I used this opportunity to do something with these space couches, as I like to call them. I don't know, they look kind of spacey and futuristic to me. These come with city living, and I feel like you can't really use them very often, but I feel like maybe a sim like her, who's kind of, you know, a bit crazy perhaps, has maybe a little bit of like an outgoing style, whatever that exactly means. Maybe somebody like that would have something like that. Oh, and here I tried to make yet another custom shelving unit in front of it by grabbing a bunch of different items and meshing them together and trying to see if I can't make something cool with that. So I tried to make this, what would this be called, like a TV console or something, right in front of those space couches. The shelves at the top do clip together a little bit and create this weird glitchy effect, but shh, just don't acknowledge it. Just pretend it's not there, okay, for me, please. And that thingy in the middle that I used is that fake fireplace from the free holiday pack. I do actually really like that item. I feel like I don't use it quite often enough. Oh, and here I arranged the paintings on the wall. I still feel like I could have maybe done a better job at this. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I also of course had to look at that in tab mode. I really like how this place is coming together. But yeah, you might be wondering about the Sims who are going to live here in my save file a little bit. As in who they are, or maybe more so what their story is going to be. And honestly, it's not even like the most creative story. It's basically that the artist lady, who is a young adult, ran away from home because their parents are not really the nicest parents. And she wanted to make her dream come true of becoming an artist, obviously, and it worked out very well for her, luckily. And then she also got her brother out of, you know, their parents' house, which is really not a place you want to stay at. And he's a teenager. And for him, I thought maybe he just wasn't really sure what he wanted to do yet. And I'll kind of leave it up to you if you guys want to play with these people. And obviously, I now have to also come up with something extra for that display case. Here I decided to replace some items or change the swatches of some items because I felt like there wasn't enough cyan, because those two are kind of like her main colors. I believe in her outfit she also has a few pinky purpley details as well, but I mostly went for, as you can tell, yellow and cyan. Really quick, look at how cool it looks when she's there painting. This really looks like her spot. Oh, and also not just painting, also talking to herself because I gave her the erratic trait. What, you thought she was going to be sane? She's an artist. What were you expecting? P.S. I draw too. I thought I should clarify. Before anybody thinks I'm like starting random beef with artists out there. Yeah, no, I draw too, and I can very much confirm that that's not always the most sanity increasing activity out there. Anyway, bathroom? Cool bathroom? Yellow bathroom? Since this build was not very big, I decided to pay some special attention to this place. Usually I just put in the appliances and then a mirror and maybe a toilet roll and then just call it a day. But here I really took the time to also include a lot of clutter, which went by very quick, and now I'm on to furnishing her bedroom, where of course I had to use that Van Gogh, the Van Gogh bed. And I thought I needed to use either a wall or a floor mural in here that comes with city living. And luckily I had just enough space right here for a wall mural. And figuring out which one I like the best and then actually get her to draw that specific one took me a lot longer than I want to admit. But I ended up with this one that's like a city and it's exactly in the right colors. You can also vandalize these murals, like you can have your Sims paint new stuff on top and kind of ruin it. And I was thinking of doing that in here as well. And maybe have it like, ooh, she tried to paint something but she didn't like it, so she just drew something on top. But I didn't like how that looked, so I just kept it like this. And besides a bed, I didn't really know what else I wanted to put in here because I kind of already put everything that's necessary in that really big room. So I just made a little reading nook. That's kind of my go-to thing whenever I have like a small space and I'm just like, I need something here. It's just like bookshelf. There we go. Bench and plant and bookshelf and armchair are like my main two ways of filling up space that I don't know what to do with. And then I did also have the idea to place down one of those karaoke machines that come with this pack. And next up I took care of the brother's room. And like I already mentioned, he has more of a red theme, so his room sticks out quite a bit from the rest of this. And I thought I should give him a little desk area in here as well, because I already built one for his sister in the big room, and I thought he deserved one too, right? What really tied his room together, in my opinion, is a rug that I will place down in a bit, which has such a fancy pattern. I feel like that's a good way of describing a lot of items that came with city living, is that a lot of them just have these like really unnecessarily intricate fancy patterns and designs and color schemes and whatnot. And also a lot of color schemes that are just weird. I feel like I should try and include a lot of those items from that pack a lot more in my builds. Which, to be fair, recently I've been making mostly limited pack builds and so without city living. But whenever I do make unlimited pack builds, I mean, because as you can tell, crazy and vibrant color schemes are totally my thing, and I feel like a lot of those items fit right in. But yeah, with that we have only one last small room remaining, and that is this little entrance area that I made, and I basically just decided to have like a little closet in here as well as a mirror. I imagine this is where they store their jackets, and also where you can, in the mirror, check out if you're looking good before going out. Okay, we're done. Let me show you around. So you have to walk through this really ugly door that I unfortunately can't change, and then you're in the entrance area that we just built last. This is what it looks like. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to show off because it's such a small room, but yeah. And then when you go through this first door here that is in this hallway, you get into the bedroom. And by the way, yes, I did paint the ceiling in here in the end. Sometimes I forget that, sometimes I don't do it on purpose because it does cost a lot of money, you know, for starter builds and such. But in this case I did. And then when we go back into the hallway and through this next door right here, we get into the brothers, I almost said apartment, into the brothers room, where the camera does get a little funky. I don't know, it's all the tap mode is always a little bit weird, and with apartments it's especially weird. But yeah, I really like how this room turned out. Plus, I feel like the obnoxious red is a very nice break from the obnoxious other colors I used in all of the other rooms. And here is the bathroom. I really like all of the details in here. Again, normally I don't pay this much attention to bathrooms, but this time I did, and I like how it turned out. And then when we walk back outside and through the big arch here, we get to the main attraction, I think, which is the really big room. This is the art corner, and I just love how it looks with the view of the city through these windows. This is probably my favorite area in the entire apartment. And when we turn around, here is the rest of it. So this is like the living area, the kitchen area, the art area. We do have the desk back there, we do have a dining area. This is kind of everything all at once. One thing that I'm also very proud of in here that I haven't mentioned so far is that I finally had an opportunity to use that big painting of that lady with the really bright yellow background. I always scrolled past her and I was always like, oh, I got to use her for something someday. This time around it was of course super perfect, so I'm very glad I got to use this as well. And here is the entire floor plan from up above. This ends up being quite a simple layout for this apartment, I feel like. I really struggled with coming up with a layout in the beginning. I tried out so many fancy things, and it's kind of a bit ironic that it ended up being quite simple like this. I shall upload this to the gallery for you in case you want to play with this. But you can't actually upload apartments very easily. I have to remove some of the walls and upload this as an entire room. So when you download this, you will have to fill in the missing walls and replace the wallpaper, just so that you know. But with that, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. In the video that's coming next week, I am building another build for my save file, and it's going to be for a cool mermaid lady and her horse, and it's going to be a little shack out in Chestnut Ridge. I hope you'll join me for that one as well. And yeah, see ya, bye!